Shalom, friends. If I had to vote for an invention of the last 300 years, I would certainly nominate electricity, and in particular the light bulb. It is to me an amazing phenomena that with a flick of a switch, we could actually banish darkness from a room, from a building, from a street, actually even from a city. It's inconceivable for me to imagine that to bring light you would have to chop wood, squeeze or olives, or do anything else to bring brightness to your home. So I think electricity and the light bulb, they deserve our thanks and we should appreciate it. Why do I talk about this now? Because actually what's called the holiday season, once again the light bulb is extolled. Wherever I go, I see hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of bulbs twinkling, glittering in the night. If I'm walking down the street, I see these bulbs on trees. I see them in front of houses. Some of them are very intricate. I see them in stores, in storefronts. They're on bus terminals. They're in airports. Essentially, they're ubiquitous. You can't go a couple of blocks without staring these light bulbs and seeing their effect on you. And they're actually quite pretty. So now, Jewish people, we come and we celebrate Hanukkah, which has been described as the festival of lights. Now, we all know Jewish people, we rise to a challenge, and we figure if they, the outside, the mass media, they use bulbs, well, if we're going to have a festival of lights, we should really go to town. Maybe we should synchronize. Maybe we should have millions of lights. No, but we don't do that. We actually light a candle or an oil menorah. And we take a wick and we put a match to it, and a small bright light is created. And we say, this is the festival of lights. It's almost like a throwback to ancient times. A festival of lights. Let's create light. Let's do it big time. Let's do it massive. What is this idea of festival of lights and using such simple concepts as a flame and a wick and a fuel source? I heard a story which goes something like this. It's about an assimilated young man. His name is Craig. And he's a typical American Jew. He was bar mitzvahed and since then has not really been involved in Judaism or in Jewish culture. And the one time of the year where he feels most awkward is the holiday season, mid-December onwards. For 2 weeks, there are parties and twinkling lights. Wherever he goes, there are lights and more lights and more lights and more parties. And as a Jew, he knows he's supposed to be celebrating Hanukkah, and this is not his holiday. This is not his holiday season, and he feels really out of place, really out of place. And as the story goes, one time he's in his office, they have a beautiful party, a lot of lights. He leaves the party, and he's driving down a neighborhood where beautifully decorated lawns are filled with lights, and he's thinking to himself, enough. I will stop being old-fashioned. I'm going to throw in the towel. I'm going to change my religion. I'm going to exchange the old for the new, the past for the present. And as he's looking at all of these glittering lights, a miracle happens. What's the miracle? The lights disappear. In fact, he's confused, and it takes a couple of seconds for him to process that actually it's not those glittering lights that are out, it's all the lights of the neighborhood are out. He actually was in the midst of a blackout. So he moves his car to the side and he tries to acclimate himself to the sudden change from brightness to darkness. And his eyes are roving down the houses and they're caught by one window where there's still some light. And he looks and he stares, and yes, you guessed it. It was Hanukkah, there was a menorah. And he saw 6 beautiful candles burning. And suddenly it struck him. Here there were thousands and thousands of lights, but they weren't true. They were not authentic because it wasn't an inner light. They were dependent on an external source. And as soon as that external source ceased to give them their momentum, they turned lifeless and dark. But the candles, the fuel source is the candle. It's not dependent on the outside. If there's a candle, if there's oil, if there's a wick, if there's a flame, there will be light. And it suddenly struck him. Could this not be the story of Judaism? So, a beautiful way of life, a divine way of life. For over 3,300 years, not dependent on whims or changes or culture or sophistication or technology. It's an inner light, a true light, an authentic light. And there's a happy ending to this story, and that is that when he saw the lights of the menorah, he decided to go back to his traditions. And he realized that the glitter from the outside cannot really hide a darkness, whereas an inner glow can banish darkness. My friends, during this season, when you will be seeing all of these lights, isn't it time to think about our light, the light of the neshama? We have our traditions. Kiner mitzvah v'Torah or. That a mitzvah is a candle. Torah is light. A soul is pure. When we put together the authenticity of our history, the warmth of a mitzvah, the light of Torah, it equals a festival of lights, Hanukkah. May Hashem actually bless each and every one of us with a bright and a warm Hanukkah. May we find inner enlightenment and spiritual fulfillment. Shalom.
Stop the end of the night, Marco, Nick, Kopla, is never on time, you stole that robe, is a